Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. At AM 630.
Happy Monday, 8:38 on WMAL. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson with you. Deborah Burlingame is on the line. She is the sister of Chick Burlingame, who's the pilot of the hijacked American Airlines flight that was flown into the Pentagon on 9/11. She's a lawyer. She's a former flight attendant herself, is a board member of the World Trade Center Memorial Foundation, and co-founder of Keep America Safe with Liz Cheney. Deborah, good to talk to you again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing well, thank you. We're coming up on the one-year anniversary of the death of Osama Bin Laden. I'm curious as to get your thoughts on that anniversary. Did it help? Does it help with the healing process for 9/11 families?
No, in fact, it was funny. I was just talking to another family member yesterday, and we were saying how almost universally the family members didn't feel celebratory last year when we saw everyone, at the White House celebrating, down at Ground Zero celebrating. We understood why they were doing it, but none of us felt emotionally joyous. The truth is, his killing sort of zinged us back to 10 years earlier, and we were kind of reliving all of the moment-to-moment stuff that we've gone through. And I have to say, I hope that this country doesn't every year have some kind of collective, I don't know, I don't want to say
commemorative events,
or I don't know what to call it, but to be remembering Bin Laden on the day of his passage just it's a little uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, let me ask you about another question. The State Department, an official over there, unnamed, but a senior State Department official, recently said that the war on terror is over. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I think it's an utterly ridiculous statement. How many troops do we have deployed? I think 70,000 still in Afghanistan. We have our own government, other areas of the government very concerned, especially at the DOD, of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, where we're continuing to do predator strikes. We have Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb. The center of gravity is moving back to the Horn of Africa. And, Al-Qaeda is one of many, many dozens of terrorism outfits that have the same ideological bent. They work in concert. They work together. Al-Shabaab in Somalia works with Al-Qaeda in Yemen. So I think that is a ludicrous point of view, and I think it's self-delusional. I think that serves the State Department's purpose. The State Department is almost like a fifth column in our own country at times. So it reminds me of James Clapp, our own Director of National Intelligence, calling the Muslim Brotherhood a quote, largely secular organization. I think that is these kinds of statements are statements that are put out there by administration officials to push a particular policy. Obama gave $1.5 billion to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, and he can't exactly get away with doing that if the American people know who the Muslim Brotherhood really is.
All right. The president seems to be willing to campaign on the fact that his administration was the administration that got Osama bin Laden. I mean, the line is Osama bin Laden is dead and GM is alive. How do you rate him in the war against terror?
Well, think about that statement. He's turned an evil terrorist who is responsible for the murder of 3,000 of our fellow human beings into a campaign talking point right up there with GM Motors. I've never in my lifetime heard a president steeped to such cynical, low-down politics. And I really find it hurtful. I know that the families I've spoken to are kind of gobsmacked by that. And, this is the same president who basically took the trial of KSM, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and his co-conspirators off the table for 3 years, right after they had said they wanted to plead guilty, all again for politics. And so, but I just I just think that I can't imagine another American president, any American president, who has used a dangerous, who's used something that is part of our national agony for his own selfish purposes. I mean, to turn this guy into some kind of point for him, especially when it was not. It wasn't Barack Obama who got Bin Laden. It was a team of Navy SEALs. They are the ones who risked everything to go get that guy. And if it had gone sideways, those are the guys who would have paid with their lives. For Obama, it just would have been politically uncomfortable. And I just think that it shows what kind of man this president is.
All right, let me pick you up on that theme, because you've been very involved with what exactly the administration is doing with CIA interrogators, and there was quite some concern a couple of years ago, and it's died down somewhat in the press. But like to get your take, as you follow this closely, on where the administration is on the possible prosecution of some CIA interrogators.
Well, they very quietly, when they want to do something that's going to upset their base, they make an announcement on a Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock, and that's what they did here. The Department of Justice basically said that their investigation is over. Of course, they did that quietly behind the scenes, where we get very little press, and they did that after the 10th anniversary and was over. But I have to tell you, it was cold comfort to those CIA interrogators who had to hire attorneys and whose lives were on hold. These are the same CIA interrogators who diligently, did their duty and got the information that helped lead to the location, to the whereabouts of Osama Bin Laden. And I put it point blank to Barack Obama when he came down to Ground Zero, ostensibly to share our
your grief, your collective grief,
our relief. That Bin Laden was gone, and he had told us that we were the people that he was thinking about all times, and that's when I asked him why he wouldn't why he wouldn't tell Eric Holder to back off on the very men who had made his presence at Ground Zero possible, and that he just turned around and walked away from me. He said, "No, I won't do it," and he walked away. Mm-hmm. But Eric Holder did do that, and I suspect the only reason he let those men off the hook from possible criminal prosecution is because that wouldn't play out very well in an election season coming up.
All right. Deborah, thank you so much for joining us, helping us sort of keep the right perspective as we think about the events of 1 year ago.